SCP-1834 Uriel Fishbones. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1834 is to be contained in a standard humanoid containment chamber. It is to be given daily doses of activated carbon, copper chlorophyllin, and medication for arthritis. Its rations are to exclude foods that contain red meats, legumes, and eggs. As it is compliant with being contained, no further procedures are necessary. SCP-1834 has requested a low, sturdy table with rounded edges for its containment chamber. Approved. To have its performances recorded. Approved. To watch the recordings of its performances. Denied. Alcoholic beverages. Denied. Cigars. Denied. To have its hat back. Denied. An accurate wristwatch. Approved. The collected written works of Beatrix Potter. Approved in part. Permission to conduct its performances in front of an audience of personnel so the effort doesn't go to waste. Approved. Contingent on good behavior. Description. SCP-1834 is a male human African-American, approximately 50 years of age. SCP-1834 is unable to recall its own date of birth. It has sparse graying hair, dark skin, and widely spaced teeth. Where its eyes should be, there are instead a pair of X's sewn into the skin with black thread. Cursory examination shows that even though the flesh bulges outwards in the manner of closed eyes, it does not have eyeballs or eye sockets underneath. X-rays confirm that its cranium is constructed from multiple thick overlapping plates of bone with a lack of features in the ocular region. Despite this, the bulged areas of skin where the sewn X's are located act as fully functional eyes by means not currently understood. SCP-1834 is arthritic, requiring the use of a cane, and has trimethylaminoria, a genetic condition which causes fish-like body odor. At will, SCP-1834 is able to elongate the areas of skin which act as its eyes into long, flexible, cylindrical eye stalks. It maintains full control over their position and motion, and as of the latest test, can extend them to a maximum length of 25 meters. Additionally, it is able to split its eye stalks into multiple branches of variable length and width and merge them together again. Splitting results into a sewn X manifesting at the end of each branch. Throughout this process, SCP-1834 maintains perfect vision and is able to keep itself oriented. How its brain is able to compensate for multiple contradicting points of view is unknown. The use of its ability is noiseless and painless. From where the extra mass comes from is unknown. No other part of its body possesses this ability. Every 24 hours at approximately 7:30 p.m., SCP-1834 will become convinced of the fact that it is showtime. SCP-1834 will attempt to stand on top of the nearest table, chair, or other piece of flat elevated furniture. If it is unable to do so because of its arthritis or because of a lack of furniture, it will simply stand in the center of the room. At this point, it will become more lively and begin a performance using its abilities. These start by the formation of simple cursive words, geometric shapes, and the outlines of animals using its eye stalks. As the performance progresses, the shapes become more complex, including full cursive sentences, polyhedra, and life-sized animate imitations of personnel in attendance. Throughout the performance, SCP-1834 exudes copious amounts of trimethylamine, the chemical responsible for fish-like body odor. For unknown reasons, less of this chemical is produced the higher off the ground SCP-1834 stands. And SCP-1834 talks in a fast-paced banter with the audience, gesturing with its cane and occasionally acquiring their names, favorite animals, and foods. When its queries are answered, it attempts to form the shape of said animal, name, or food with its eye stalks. It is unable to stop the performance once it has begun until approximately 45 minutes have passed, and often expresses exhaustion and relief when the performance is finished. Outside of performances, SCP-1834 is generally polite, slow-paced, and soft-spoken. SCP-1834 was recovered in Louisiana, United States. It was living in a wooden shack labeled Photo Studio in what seemed to be a hastily abandoned fairground. SCP-1834 expressed the sentiment that it had been left behind and was waiting for someone to pick it up. It entered containment happily once the promise of food and permanent shelter were made apparent. SCP-1834 Interview Log. Begin Log. Dr. Ling. SCP-1834. You seem to have no control of your actions while performing. Is that an accurate statement? Sir, I don't really know if that's the case. Performance is exhilarating, a grand thing to do, and it makes me feel young again. But when showtime is over and I get off the stage, I'm just a smelly old man with tired bones. Maybe you're right, though. I suppose you could say that I'm out of control when I perform, but only just. When did you start performing? That would have been in 1912. Yes, that was the year. I first saw the man with the upside-down face. Soon after that, I joined Mr. Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting. What a wonderful venture. Now, colleagues of mine may have had less than enjoyable experiences in the freak show, but my ride was smooth as silk. Know why? Because I behaved. Did you have your ability before that point? Since birth, sir. And the trimethylammuniera, the body odor? Yes, sir, that too. I wasn't named Uriel Fishbones for my graveyard gums. SCP-1834 grins, extending its right eye stalk down to look into its own mouth. Them I got from Grandpa Earl. But your eyes, when were they sewn shut? I don't know what you could mean, sir. My sight is fine. 5 seconds of silence, during which SCP-1834 retracts his right eye stalk slowly. So, then, in the end, why do you perform? I learned as a boy that it is much better to do what you are told than to go without supper. And I was told that showtime is 7:30 in the evening. Herman Fuller, Circus of the Disquieting, the amazing Sluggo. Slug or man? See his eyes grow into stalks, a wondrous creature to behold. He dances, he sings. Come watch the show of a lifetime. Is he a man or a slug? He's both. One of our greatest performers. The Slug Man will have you tapping your feet to the music as he dances and sings for you. Watch him as he uses his slug eye stalks to form your name or even your image. One day only, this Friday, 9 p.m. at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. One show, one chance. Come one, come all. The following is a page from a publication entitled To the Circus Born, Herman Fuller's Menagerie of Freaks. The identities of neither publisher nor author have been established, and scattered pages have been found inserted into circus-themed books in libraries around the world. The person or persons behind this dissemination are unknown. To the Circus Born, Herman Fuller's Menagerie of Freaks. The Amazing Sluggo. Didn't want to sell me to Mr. Fuller, but I don't think he had a choice. Once you got fired for mouthing off to the foreman in our neck of the woods, you had a reputation. He couldn't get any employment anywhere, and believe me, he tried. Night after night, he came home dead tired and broken. Of course I cried my little blind eyes out when Fuller took me with him on that muggy day in June of 1912. But you have to understand that to a small boy, the circus is also an adventure, and emotions seldom last long. Hell, I didn't even realize what it all meant. After about an hour of sniffling, all I could think about was the lions and the dancing bears I thought I was going to see. Besides, Mr. Fuller promised me that my mom and dad could always visit when we were in town. He later told me that my parents lacked for nothing in the years that followed. I can't say if they did or didn't. We never did go back to our patch of Louisiana, and I never saw them again. Anyway, when we got to the circus, I marveled. It was as grand could be. A big tent, all manner of trailers and wagons, some real fancy ones too. He took me aside and explained that in order to work in his circus, I needed something unique. Said he knew someone that could make me special, and he did. Or Lord, did he ever. I didn't know the meaning of the word disquieting back then, but I was about to learn. He took me to Sally the seamstress, bless her soul, and he told me, "Now Uriel, Sally here is going to make your eyes better. Just hold still." And Sally, she just smiled with those big, bright doll eyes of her and beckoned me closer. Everything smelled of lavender and swamp reeds. A really weird combination. I hesitated for a bit, but Fuller gave me a little shove, and into her arms I went. Sally comforted me because she knew I was just a scared little boy, but then she began working her magic. Didn't hurt either. That's the funny thing. I mean, I felt my skin stretching. I felt it cover my eye sockets, and of course I felt it when she stitched the crosses on, but it didn't really hurt. And then it happened. She kissed the stitches, and all of a sudden, I could see. Let me tell you, when you see for the first time after 7 years, it's like you're born again. I found out nothing looked like anything I'd imagined. I didn't even know what I looked like, let alone the rest of the world. I guess that disquieted me the most about all of that. Fuller had to put me down in a chair for fear of me fainting and hitting my head. He was right, though. I fainted. I woke up in my very own trailer. Can you imagine? A 7-year-old boy getting his own trailer? I remember that one was painted bright yellow on the inside. Used to belong to one of Fuller's original clowns. Gusto. Italian guy, I think. Never did find out what happened to him. Fuller kept saying Gusto wasn't compatible with his vision for the circus, but he wouldn't go into detail. But I do know that every time I mentioned his name to the other performers, they'd hush and look glum. Make of that what you will. Anyway, Fuller introduced me to Manny, the man with the upside-down face. And he set about developing an act with me. Now, I'd always been a good dancer, always making the girls giggle and the ladies in church swoon with my fancy moves, but that wasn't good enough. A fuller act needed to knock 'em dead, so to speak. Manny taught me how to control my stalks and how to bend them into shapes. Simple ones, at first. Circles, squares, then harder ones like triangles and things he called hexagons. Eventually I was able to form hearts, letters, and after years of practice, even people's faces. Now that was a showstopper, I tell you. I didn't stop doing shows until I'd been with the circus for about 6 months. But when I did, they put me right at the top of the bill for a while. Every poster they put up would have had my name up there with big, bold lettering. Uriel Fishbones, the amazing Sluggo. That made me proud, and I hoped that when my parents saw, that it made them proud too. After every show, I'd have to lay down in my trailer. After acts, they were far more athletic, running, tumbling, or swinging around and around they were, and there I was just sitting on a stool manipulating my stocks. And still, every time I was done, I felt so tired. I needed the applause though. It was the only thing